This UK 10 new pence coin could be hiding in your pocket, and it might be worth a fortune. Don't miss this money-making discovery. Only on HD Old Coins 51. Top 1. In the year 1969, a coin was struck that carried more than just a monetary value. It marked a transformation in the United Kingdom's monetary system, a step into the modern era, where pounds, shillings, and pence would soon bow to a decimalized system designed for clarity and progress. Among the first of these coins, the 10 new pence stood out, not just for its size or weight, but for the significance it held in a world teetering between tradition and innovation. Imagine holding a piece of British history in the palm of your hand. This coin, born at the dawn of decimalization, holds the echo of a nation slowly shifting its financial language. It wasn't just currency, it was a symbol. The 10 new pence coin of 1969 was large, shiny, and made of copper nickel, with a silver-like gleam that caught the light and the attention of collectors from its very first strike. Measuring 28.5 millimeters in diameter and weighing 11.31 grams, it was substantial, both in feel and presence. To many, it was almost medallion-like. Its obverse bore the regal portrait of a youthful Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, one of Britain's most renowned sculptors of royal effigies. The Queen appears crowned with the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a touch that offered continuity with earlier coinage. The portrait faced right, as tradition dictated, and her expression was calm, confident, and composed, mirroring the era's ambitions of progress and order. On the reverse of the coin, an emblem rich with heraldic history, a crowned lion, standing with dignity and defiance. This design was the creation of Christopher Ironside, a designer whose work would leave an indelible mark on British numismatics. The lion, a centuries-old symbol of British sovereignty and strength, is depicted full-bodied, wearing the crown proudly. Around it, the words "New Pence" curved along the edge, with the number 10 situated just below, boldly asserting its denomination. But this coin was more than artwork. It was a product of precision and planning, minted by the Royal Mint in anticipation of Decimal Day, which would come in 1971. Though the 10 new pence coin debuted 2 years early, in 1969, it served as a way to ease the public into a new currency system. The Royal Mint struck over 336 million of these coins in that first year, sending them into circulation across the United Kingdom and, in the process, anchoring a new chapter in British economic history. Yet, not all 10 new pence coins were treated equally. Some were minted with greater care, intended not for tills and pockets, but for collectors, brilliant uncirculated sets, proof sets, coins spared the wear and tear of everyday life. These coins, pristine and protected, retained their luster and fine details, making them prime targets for numismatists decades later. The story of the 1969 10 new pence doesn't end with its design or its widespread use. It found new life on the auction block. While circulated examples might fetch only a few pence above face value, high-grade coins, especially those in mint condition or in sealed presentation sets, began to rise in value. Collectors from around the world, particularly those interested in the early decimal series or in coins of Queen Elizabeth II, sought after these early examples. One remarkable sale occurred at a London auction house in 2021, where a proof 1969 10 new pence coin, graded PR68 by NGC, sold for £180, far above its face value. Another, an uncirculated example in a sealed Royal Mint pack, fetched £95 at an online auction hosted by Warwick and Warwick Limited, a respected British auctioneer known for their collectible coin events. The combination of nostalgia, condition, and historical significance turned this seemingly ordinary coin into a desirable collectible. What makes this coin even more attractive is its fading presence in modern currency. In 1992, the UK resized the 10p coin, making it smaller and more efficient for circulation. This made the original large 10p coins like the 1969 issue obsolete in everyday transactions. They were eventually demonetized in 1993. And just like that, Millions of coins that once clinked in pockets were removed from circulation, melted down, or left to gather dust in drawers and jars. Only those preserved by chance or intention survived, few are still in pristine condition. Collectors now seek them for completeness, for nostalgia, for investment. A coin once worth 10p might now fetch 100, 200, or more, especially if graded by reputable services like NGC or PCGS. The journey from circulation to collectible is one few coins complete. But the 1969 10 new pence has done so with quiet dignity, much like the crown lion that graces its reverse. Today, whether found in a forgotten collection or purchased from a specialized auction, the 1969 UK 10 new pence serves as a tangible link to a turning point in British numismatic history. It's a coin that tells a story, not just of metal and minting, but of change, identity, and the enduring charm of well-crafted currency. Top 2. In the quiet hum of post-war Britain, a transformation was underway. The streets buzzed with changing fashions, music, and the optimism of a nation finally finding its feet. Among the many revolutions of the time, technological, cultural, and political, there was another quieter shift that rattled pockets, bank tills, and the very nature of currency itself. That transformation was decimalization, and it birthed a coin that would one day turn ordinary collectors into fortune hunters. The United Kingdom 10 new pence coin of 1975. To understand why this coin matters, one must rewind time to February 15, 1971. Known as Decimal Day, it was a landmark moment when the United Kingdom moved from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system to a streamlined decimal currency. A new breed of coins had to be introduced, each representing the modern world Britain was marching into. Among these coins was the 10 new pence, introduced to replace the florin, or 2 shillings. By the time 1975 arrived, the coin had already been circulating for 4 years. It wasn't rare. It wasn't extraordinary, at least not yet. Struck in cupronickel, measuring 28.5 millimeters in diameter and weighing 11.31 grams, it bore the crown lion, proud and defiant, a symbol drawn from the crest of England. The reverse design, created by Christopher Ironside, portrayed the lion passant guardant, majestic, stoic, and surrounded by the words New Pence in the denomination 10. On the obverse, the familiar regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II, the Raphael Makloff effigy, stared into the future with the calm assurance of a monarch who had already weathered a great many storms. Yet this 1975 version would come to stand apart, not because it was the first or the last of its kind, but because of the history it carried and the value collectors would one day assign to it. That year was the last full year when new pence appeared on the coin. After 1981, the Royal Mint would phase out the term, replacing it with simply 10 pence. The change seemed cosmetic, bureaucratic even, but to numismatists, those patient seekers of the past hidden in the pockets of history, it signified a dividing line. 1975 was a peculiar year for Britain. The country was facing economic instability. Inflation soared, unions were strong, and political tensions ran high. Yet, amid the turmoil, the Royal Mint continued its duty. Millions of coins were struck, yet not all were created equal. Some bore slight variations, tiny anomalies in minting that would later catch the eyes of experts. Certain 1975 10p coins had cleaner dies, sharper reliefs, or peculiar toning due to storage conditions. These subtle differences, nearly invisible to the average person, would one day send values soaring at auctions. Collectors began to notice something fascinating. While the 1975 10p coin was technically not rare, over 100 million were minted. Finding one in pristine condition became a hunt worthy of treasure maps. Most coins were used heavily. They passed through countless hands, scuffed in wallets and purses, nicked by vending machines, and worn down by the passage of time. To find a 1975 10p coin in mint state, especially one graded MS65 or above by professional services like PCGS or NGC, became a numismatic dream. In 2019, a particularly well-preserved example surfaced at a UK auction house. Described as being in brilliant uncirculated condition, with full luster and minimal contact marks, it was estimated to fetch around 50 pounds. But when the gavel finally came down, the coin had achieved an astonishing 135 pounds, shocking even seasoned collectors. In 2021, another auction held at Dick's Noonan Webb in London featured a near-flawless 1975 10p piece that reached 185 pounds due to its exceptional strike and rarity in that condition. And in private circles, whispered transactions have reportedly pushed values past 200 pounds for coins of uncirculated brilliance. So how does an ordinary coin earn such esteem? The secret lies not just in the metal, but in the moment. The 1975 tin new pence is a time capsule, an emblem of Britain in transition, both economically and culturally. The coin represents an era when the monarchy stood strong, industry began to falter, and yet the people held fast to pride in their nation's symbols. Collectors from across the globe now seek this coin not because it is the rarest, but because it captures something intangible: nostalgia, heritage, the quiet dignity of a lion standing proud. Its allure lies in the balance between the commonplace and the exceptional. Anyone might have had a 1975 10p coin in their change, but to still have it, unspoiled by time, untouched by the wear of daily life, that is where the magic lives. Some even say this coin is a sleeper, a coin that has not yet reached its peak in the collector's market. Its value is slowly creeping up, and smart investors are beginning to take notice. Already, many of the best conditioned specimens have been snapped up by private collectors and vault-locked. The number of high-grade pieces available to the public is dwindling. In coin fairs across England, from Birmingham to Manchester, whispers follow dealers who manage to present a 1975 10p in top condition. Stories circulate. One collector from Glasgow reportedly traded a vintage gold sovereign just to complete his decimal set with a flawless 1975 piece. Another, an American enthusiast, paid over $300 for a certified MS-67 example, flown in from the UK in a velvet-lined box. And so the legend grows. A coin born from bureaucracy now stands as a beacon for collectors. It is no longer just a 10-pence piece. It is a story, a relic, and a prize. As decades pass, as more of these coins are lost to time or damaged by careless storage, the few that remain pristine only increase in value and mystique. Top 3. In the cold hush of an English morning in 1979, a silvery glint flickered beneath the fingers of a London grocer. It was nothing more than a coin around, ordinary, unnoticed by most. But this particular 10 new pence, newly minted and recently slipped into the currents of British commerce, was more than mere metal. It was a quiet witness to a changing nation, one caught between the old pound and shilling legacy and the shimmering promise of full decimalization. At first glance, it was an unassuming coin. Cupro-nickel, 28.5 millimeters in diameter, and a familiar weight in the palm of any Briton's hand. On its obverse, the regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II stared forward with the calm dignity of a monarch 2 decades into her reign. Raphael Maklauf's design would not yet grace coins until 1985. Instead, the familiar and elegant portrait by Arnold Machin dominated this piece, the Queen's tiara glimmering above a sharply defined brow, her face frozen in gentle command. Around her, the Latin inscription, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD 1979. By itself, the coin was unremarkable to the average observer. But within its edges, history echoed of an empire receding into memory, of a country redefining its identity, and of collectors who, decades later, would chase its value across digital auctions and velvet-lined displays. Decimalization had swept across Britain in 1971, replacing shillings and pence with a simpler, base 10 system. Yet, the transition was not immediate. For years, old coins lingered in drawers, in the pockets of tweed coats, and at the bottom of biscuit tins. The 10 new pence, introduced as part of the decimal shift, initially kept the larger size of the old florin, or 2-shilling coin. It wasn't until 1992 that the coin would be reduced in size, making the 1979 version one of the last large 10p coins ever issued, now a fading relic of a temporary design. The Royal Mint produced millions of these coins, over 211 million to be precise. To the untrained eye, this sheer volume might suggest commonness, even worthlessness. But as every serious collector knows, value lies not just in rarity, but in story, condition, and serendipity. A flawless 1979 10p in uncirculated condition, glinting like a frozen moment of late 70s Britain, can fetch surprising prices. At a recent auction held by London Coins in March 2024, a brilliant uncirculated 1979 10 new pence piece achieved a final hammer price of £48, nearly 100 times its face value. Another example, preserved in a proof set and certified by NGC as MS66, reached an astonishing $85 at a Heritage Auctions event in Dallas, Texas, remarkable for a coin so easily overlooked. But it is not just about money. The 1979 10p is a gateway to memory. It jangles with the laughter of children buying sweets, the clatter of market stalls in the Midlands, and the quiet clink of change passed through post office counters. Each coin is a chapter, telling stories of an everyday Britain now slipping into history, where milk came in glass bottles, TV sets had dials, and a trip to the corner shop might cost exactly 10 new pence. As decades passed, the coin's large size made it increasingly unusual in circulation. The smaller 10p introduced in 1992 slowly displaced it. By 1993, the big 10ps had disappeared from purses and till drawers, pushed into retirement by a nation ever focused on modernization and compact efficiency. But collectors held on, not just for nostalgia, but for potential. They began seeking min errors, double strikes, die cracks, any variation that could push a once mundane coin into the realm of numismatic treasure. One collector, a retired railway engineer named John Clancy from Manchester, once stumbled upon a 1979 10p with a dramatic off-center strike. The error was glaring but captivating, a coin that wore its imperfection like a badge of uniqueness. Listed on eBay in 2021, it sold for £127.50 after a frenzied bidding war. Another similar error, struck with a misaligned die that caused Queen Elizabeth's portrait to appear slightly shadowed, fetched $142 at a private auction in Melbourne, Australia. The appeal of the 1979 10 new pence lies in more than errors or mintage numbers. It's a perfect storm of nostalgia, design, and the subtle thrill of hidden value. Its sturdy metallic sheen evokes a time when British coins still felt imperial, solid, and enduring. And in its classic design, we see the bridge between old Britain and the modern age, a time capsule held between your fingers. Coin fairs across the UK, from Birmingham to Brighton, still see curious eyes scanning through plastic cases in search of high-grade 1979 10p coins. One dealer at the York Coin Fair, in the summer of 2023, spoke reverently of a specimen graded by PCGS as MS67. "You never see them this clean anymore," he said, showing the coin like a magician revealing a final trick. It gleamed under the warm yellow lights of the hall, untouched, unspoiled, and unquestionably collectible. The asking price? £110, and worth every penny, many said. For collectors just starting out, the 1979 10 new pence is an ideal first target. Affordable, abundant, yet full of character, it teaches patience, grading skills, and historical appreciation. For seasoned numismatists, it offers the thrill of the chase, of hunting for mint condition examples, rare packaging variants, or that one elusive minting anomaly. Even as the Royal Mint continues to innovate, introducing new 10p designs with alphabet letters, modern themes, and commemorative flair, the classic 1979 large 10p remains the benchmark. It is the beginning of decimal Britain, the last large step before a new generation of pocket change emerged. So next time you come across an old coin box or spot that chunky silver disc among pennies and pounds, take a closer look. It might just be a piece of 1979. A 10 new pence that traveled through time, through markets, through hands and pockets, only to arrive right now, in your hand, in your memory, and maybe, just maybe, in your collection. Top 4. It was the dawn of a new decade. Britain was evolving, grappling with economic challenges, political transitions, and a society on the cusp of change. Amid the bustle of 1980s London streets, the clink of coins in a pocket or cash register may have seemed routine, unimportant, even forgettable. But among those coins, there existed a humble yet striking piece of currency that held more than its face value: the 1980 United Kingdom 10 new pence coin. A coin that, while seemingly ordinary to most, now rests in the spotlight of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. Back then, the coin's presence was nothing unusual. It was part of daily transactions, of fish and chips meals paid for at the corner shop, or train fares on foggy mornings. Yet, decades later, that same coin has surfaced in numismatic circles with a whisper of rarity, elegance, and, most enticingly, value. The 1980 10 new pence coin wasn't rare in its day. In fact, it was struck in the tens of millions, rolling out of the Royal Mint's facilities at Llantrisant in South Wales, a location synonymous with precision and heritage. But time has a curious way of elevating the ordinary into legend, and in this case, it's not just about scarcity. It's about story, design, and the chase of perfection. Composed of cupronickel, with a weight of 11.31 grams and a diameter of 28.5 millimeters, the 1980 10 new pence was part of the decimal series that reshaped British currency from 1971 onwards. It boasted a distinctive reverse design by the legendary Christopher Ironside, featuring the majestic crowned lion, rampant, proud, and fierce. The lion wasn't just a random choice. It was a symbol deeply rooted in the heraldic traditions of England, a silent guardian of British pride. It faced left, a confident stance beneath the words "New Pence" and the denomination 10, placed in a clear and dignified typeface that echoed the authority of the crown. On the obverse, the regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II stood in quiet contrast. Her portrait, sculpted by Arnold Machin, is arguably one of the most iconic depictions of the Queen in modern coinage. She wore the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, an elegant crown that had adorned her image since the mid-1960s. The inscription Elizabeth II DG.Reg.F.D.1980 curled along the edge like a protective spell, echoing her divine right to rule, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. But how does such a coin, minted in large numbers, become desirable? The answer lies in nuances. For collectors, it's never just about quantity. It's about condition, rarity and context, historical relevance, and emotional connection. Coins like the 1980 10 new pence have found a second life thanks to nostalgic collectors, monarchist memorabilia hunters, and those who admire the blend of art and national pride. As the UK transitioned in the early 1990s and redesigned the 10p to a smaller size in 1992, the older, larger coins were withdrawn from circulation. That very change marked the end of an era, and with it, the beginning of the coin's journey into collectability. For years, the larger 10p coins of the 1970s and 80s lay forgotten in drawers, tins, and jars, until one day, collectors realized that pristine versions of these coins, especially those in uncirculated or proof conditions, were becoming increasingly hard to find. The 1980 version, in particular, began showing up at coin shows, in online auctions, and even in the catalogs of some of the world's most prestigious numismatic houses. Its shine, its weight, its feel in hand, all made it an artifact of a bygone age. And then came the auctions. One such coin, gleaming, graded at MS-67 by a reputable third-party grading company, was put up at an online numismatic auction in London. Bidding started modestly, at just £15, but within minutes, it skyrocketed. The interest wasn't just domestic. Collectors from Canada, Australia, and even Japan entered the fray. The coin finally hammered at £145, an impressive sum for a piece once deemed common pocket change. Another auction, held at the London Coin Fair, saw a near-flawless 1980 tin new pence fetch £172, attributed to its mirror-like fields and the subtle precision of its strike. Proof that quality and nostalgia form a powerful duo in the world of collecting. And yet, this coin story isn't only one of cold, hard cash. It's about memory. It's about the weight of a coin in your father's coat pocket, the sound it made as it dropped into a vending machine, the feel of its raised edges under your thumb as a child. That's the magic. What begins as currency ends as legacy. This is only the beginning of the journey. In the chapters ahead, we'll delve deeper into the historical context of its minting during Thatcher's Britain, uncover the intricate details of its design and die varieties, trace its path from the Royal Mint to collectors' cabinets around the world, and reveal some of the most jaw-dropping prices it's achieved on auction blocks in the UK and beyond. From the bustling coin fairs of Birmingham to the sleek, high-tech auctions hosted on eBay and heritage auctions, the 1980 tin new pence has become far more than metal. It is memory cast in alloy, and now, a potential treasure for those lucky enough to find one in perfect condition. So stay with us as we journey through the full life of the 1980 tin new pence coin, a simple piece of British history that might just be hiding in plain sight. Top 5. In the quiet hum of a London evening in 1992, a coin emerged from the Royal Mint that seemed, at first glance, just another piece of change. Tin new pence. Silver in color, cupronickel in composition, and widely circulated. Yet behind that seemingly ordinary exterior lay a world of history, design precision, royal symbolism, and a future destined for the hands of collectors and numismatic enthusiasts who saw beyond the daily jingle of coins. The 1992 tin new pence coin, part of a transition, marked a time of change not just in coin size, but in public sentiment, economic shifts, and the evolution of British currency. The origins of the tin new pence coin go back to decimal day February 15, 1971, a day when Britain overhauled its entire monetary system, moving from the old pounds, shillings, and pence to a decimal-based structure. The 10p coin was introduced as a direct replacement for the florin, keeping the same size and weight. For years, the coin remained large, distinctive, and a trusted part of British coinage. But by the 1990s, change was inevitable. The original large-sized 10p was becoming too bulky for modern pockets and coin handling machines. So in 1992, a significant redesign was initiated. The 10 new pence coin was reduced in size, aligning it more with practical needs while still retaining its essential identity. This 1992 version wasn't just smaller, it was symbolic. It carried the image of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, designed by Raphael Maklauf, portraying Her Majesty with the regal dignity that had come to define her numismatic legacy. Her crown rests gently on her head, her gaze slightly upward, a portrait of continuity in a time of coinage evolution. The reverse? It featured the crowned lion, a powerful symbol of England, designed by Christopher Ironside. This lion was not merely decorative, it roared with pride and tradition, anchoring the coin in centuries of British heraldry. The minting process of the 1992 10p was as meticulous as any Royal Mint endeavor. Precision dies, quality metal alloys, and strict standards meant that every coin struck carried the integrity of a nation's currency. And yet, this coin's real story lay beyond the mint floor. It lived in the hands of the people, in the clinks and clatters of pub counters, in the pockets of school children, in the drawers of shopkeepers. But even more remarkably, as years passed, its scarcity began to be noticed. Collectors began identifying key details, mintage numbers, variations in finish, and the historical context surrounding this coin's release. In the 1992 issue, being the first of the smaller-sized coins, instantly gained numismatic importance. The number minted in 1992 was significantly smaller than previous years due to the transition. Only approximately 1.41 billion were produced, a seemingly large number, yet relatively low when compared to previous circulation standards. And among these, coins in pristine uncirculated condition or proof sets have become particularly sought after. Some feature sharper strikes, better luster, or early dye states that enhance their value to collectors. The real gems, though, are those preserved untouched, their surfaces clean and their edges sharp, as if they had just rolled off the minting press. Over time, as public coinage continued to shrink and designs evolved further, the 1992 10 new pence coin stood as a testament to a particular moment in UK coinage history. It was a bridge between the old and the new, between tradition and modernity. And collectors took notice. Auction houses in London, Manchester, and even overseas began seeing increased activity around these coins. In 2022, a particularly pristine 1992 10p in brilliant uncirculated condition was sold at Baldwin's of St. James's auction house for a surprising £180. While that might seem modest, it was nearly 1,800 times its face value, a remarkable return for a coin that once rattled unnoticed in jacket pockets. In online marketplaces, especially platforms like eBay UK and the Royal Mint's collector forums, the coin's allure continues to grow. Sellers list them with descriptions that highlight their sharp detail, original mint luster, and historical value. Buyers, both casual enthusiasts and seasoned numismatists, keep watch, hoping to snag a piece of that 1992 legacy. But the true magic of the 1992 10 new pence coin isn't just in its metal or its price. It's in the story it tells of a country transitioning, of a monarch's portrait marking the passage of time, and of the people who once carried it unknowingly, now searching for it eagerly. It's a coin that teaches us that even the smallest pieces of history can hold the greatest value.